Okay, so I'm just out doing a few lanes on my Himalayan. Nice, beautiful blue skies. Bike's done what, 1100 miles, 1150 miles now. Done a lot of green lanes, a lot of trail riding on it, a lot of muddy conditions. Overall, I really like the bike. I think, in all honesty, the place it shines the most is on these lanes. I just think it's such a lovely, easy bike to ride on slightly rough terrain. Obviously, it's not an enduro bike, you know, it's not going to take you racing. But from these kind of lanes where it's bumpy and it's slightly rutted and wet in places and dry in others, it's got a lot of grip. It's a very manageable weight. You know, they say 192 kilos wet, but you wouldn't tell it riding it. It's very low slung weight. I mean, the rims themselves are steel, so they weigh a ton. But that, you know, that contributes a lot to the weight, and it's all slung nice and low. So the bike's very manageable. It's good when you're standing. It's got a nice wide handlebars. Got a lot of space in your shoulders to control and maneuver the bike. I think the throttle response is nice and crisp and linear, and the torque is really smooth, really tractable. It just seems to pick traction up where you wouldn't expect it. Even on the original MT60 tyres when it was wet and gooey, it somehow just generates traction all on its own. And with you able to get your feet down, when it got really nadgery, you could just drop your feet, keep on the throttle, and it'd just find a line. You know, since then I put these Mitas EO9s on these knobblies, and obviously an improvement again still. On the road, they're probably not as good as the MT60s, but you soon get used to a knobbly tyre, and I think visually they really enhance the look of the bike. Other things I've done, I just fitted some handguards, 32 pound handguards. I've got a heavy duty bash plate, that's 110 pounds, all from Cooperb, dealer in Northampton. I've not done a lot else. I put a little riser kit on just to raise the front mudguard, give me a little bit more clearance. Put the aluminium panniers on the back, so I've still got the racks on there. Fitted a tank bag. And that really is about it. It's a completely standard bike. On the road, I think most people are interested in how it performs, and I find on the road it's getting better as the engine loosens up. I think initially when you're running it in and it's doing 50 mile an hour and it's starting to get a bit vibey, you think, God, this is maybe going to be a bit rough going. But now it's clocked over. So when it clocked over 600, 700, 800 miles, it started to smoothen off a little bit, and I think now, like, I'm accelerating through to 70 mile an hour in fourth, and it seems to sustain 70 in fifth, 5 gears on it, not 6. So all in all, you can cruise at traffic pace. You know, it's not a fast accelerator, but what it is torquey. So whether you've got a lot of luggage on or even a pillion, you've always got that crisp, nice torque to sort of pull you through. So I think you have to adjust your mindset to it. If you're expecting a bike to perform fast and ferociously and to get on it and ride it, and I think that's where it's been let down in a few reviews. Some reviewers have jumped on it and expected to jam throttle open and fizz away. It's just not that kind of bike. Got to relax into it, nice comfy seat, nice upright riding position, and just find a pace and just leave it in fifth and just rely on that sort of wave of torque from that long stroke motor. Reliability so far, not a problem. A bit of moisture in the clocks, which seems to be common on these. There was a slight anomaly in the sense that some bikes had to have a washer installed on the clutch because the nut was coming loose, so that affected a few bikes. So at the first service, they just find out what those were, put the washer on. But you know, that's just one of them things. They've fitted that. The bike feels very robust, it feels very strong. I've done a bit of work on it, obviously changing the tyres and a few other bits, bolting on the panniers. Everything feels nice and sturdy. You know, the metalwork, it's not an aesthetically pretty bike, but it's solid. And I've took some big hits on it. You know, at Touratech weekend at the weekend, yeah, took a big heavy drop downside the hill, and all I've done is slightly bent my gear lever. So happy days with that. Strong bike, don't think it's going to let me down. Taking it Land's End to John O'Groats 3 times this year and across America once, New York to LA. Confidence in the bike. 4 grand, what else can you get for 4 grand? You know, maybe a discount CRF 250L, that's a great bike for these kind of trails, but I prefer the Himalayan for the road. So it's a 50-50 split bike. Now I almost think it's without competition. A G310 GS BMW, it's about 1100, 1200 pound more, and I think it's nowhere near as good on the trails as this is, although it's faster on the road. So if you want more road performance, maybe the BMW. The Honda, better trail performance ultimately because it's lighter and longer travel suspension, but not as good on the road. V-Strom 250 doesn't come close, and the Versys 300, very fast, small capacity road bike. But the Himalayan, 4 grand, 4.5 with the luggage. I don't know, where can you find fault? At the minute, 1100 miles in, I can't, so happy days.